So I want to start off by reading you a quick quote. And the quote states, "You're only overlooked, rejected, and ignored by people who aren't meant to be in your life. Let go in peace and look ahead in gratitude." Now that's a wonderful quote. It's a very true quote. It's a quote that I hope you all embrace. But I know just as many as you do that sometimes it's easier said than done. And a lot of individuals struggle with moving on from a breakup from someone. And that could be for various reasons. It could be due to the many attachments that were formed in that relationship. It can be due to the emotional investment that you gave, the hopes and dreams you had for that relationship, various reasons. But what adds or pours more salt in the wound is when you're trying to get past things. Maybe you even thought you did, but now you have to see your ex move on very quickly with someone else. And that can have a very negative impact on a lot of individuals. Now, it could be you, it could be someone you know, but the point is, it's a struggle, but it's something that I want to help you navigate through and ensure that you will come out the other end better than ever. All right? And so there's a few things you need to understand about this dynamic. Because let me tell you, I get people all the time. I've had so many clients in the past who got caught up in this whole, they're already with this person. And what does this mean? And, they must not love me anymore. All these different things. But what you need to first understand, and you know what, before I give you the first, my apologies. I feel the need to mention this. There may be some of you who watch this video who are tempted to come into the comment section and say, "Why are you worried about your ex? Forget them. You're better off." And don't get me wrong. I know your intentions are good, right? But let's not be dismissive of the struggle that many people face. And the reality is, as I said in the beginning, sometimes it's easier said than done. And we want to, at least I'm going to give the tools on how to make sure no one has to struggle with this. So the first thing to always remember is that things are not always what they seem. All right. So one of the big mistakes people make, I'll give you an example. There was a married couple. They were going through some issues. The wife decided she finally wanted to get a divorce. Right. The man did resist the divorce, but she wasn't having it. She was done. They were 12 years in. She felt like she's been trying for so long and she doesn't have any more energy for this, right? So they get divorced. And I want to say 4 months after the divorce, this man was back in a relationship. And a few more months after that, he was remarried. Now, for the ex-wife, this was a punch to the gut. This was a very tough pill to swallow. And when she came to me expressing her frustration, and again, her frustration was rooted in the fact that, one, why is it that he already has someone and I don't? All right? And there was a level of bitterness with that. All right? There also was so all this time you were telling me you love me and you want to make it work, but you moved on that fast to someone else, so you're a liar. All right? And so basically devaluing all that she was told to believe by him for all those years. All right. And so essentially I said, listen, but also it did suck. And this may sound bad, but it sucked to see that he seemed happy. All right. And again, it kind of goes back, well, why does he get to be happy? And I'm over here struggling and sad. And so I said, listen, don't be fooled. Things are not what they seem. A lot of people, especially when they leave one relationship, they jump into another one. And there's a lot of various reasons why they do that. And we're going to discuss those things. But they're not going to jump in a new relationship and then post the negative things. People don't post negative things about the relationship typically anyway, unless they're lashing out, they're having a frustrating moment, things of that nature. Most people in today's world, and even before social media, they're only going to let you see the good. All right. And sometimes your ex knows you're watching. They know you're lurking on the social media. So he or she wants you to feel some kind of way. In this case, he's trying to stick it to you. All right. So you have to understand that if you start getting caught up in what you're seeing, you are falling into the trap. Now, are there some situations where the ex moves on and it's a genuine, he or she's in a better place? Yeah, it can happen. It can happen. But I'm going to tell you, in most cases, that's not what it is. Not when it happens that quickly. And that's the whole thing. We're talking about the ex moving on very fast. When it happens very fast, there's usually some other issues going on. So to get back to you, when you're trying to navigate this, one, stop looking. All right? You don't need to concern yourself with what your ex is doing like that, especially when you are not at a place where you can handle such images. Now, I do think it is possible to get to a level of healing and a level of emotional stability where if you went online, because sometimes you're not even looking, it might pop up through different ways. But let's be real, some of y'all are looking. Anyways, if you go online, you come across this image, there is ways to get to a place where it doesn't faze you anymore. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. But you have to be real with yourself about where you are right now. You can't handle it, so stop looking. Unfollow. Don't go on the social media. And listen, when you struggle in these areas, get yourself an accountability partner. Get yourself someone who's going to make sure and check up on you that you aren't digging for more information, because it's none of your concern. All right. You should be focused on you and where you're headed in life and what you need to be doing, not what your ex is doing. But then number two, again, understand only the good will be presented. You have to remind yourself, you don't know the full story. You don't know what's going on. You can't attempt to define everything that happened in your relationship with this person previously by the pictures you're now seeing with them in this new relationship. That's really unreasonable and unfair to do, all right? And again, you're missing too many details to come to any conclusions. You don't know what's going on. So when you remind yourself that you don't have the full story, it can help pull you back from the ledge, because many of y'all get really close and then you jump completely off of it, all right? So you gotta gather yourself, catch yourself and say, no, you know what? It's just a picture. Or it's just a rumor, because sometimes not pictures, it might be word gets back to you from different people about, well, I saw them and they looked happy. Yeah, they looked happy. And again, even if they are happy, that's on them. That's on them. But you got to focus on you. All right, so now building on the fact that things are not always what they seem, the second thing that I need you to consider is that many times they may be using that person as a distraction or a coping mechanism. So I'm sure many of you have heard the term rebound relationship. And when people move on very fast after breaking up with someone, it typically is a rebound relationship, unless there was something brewing between this person and the other person. Like, so for example, if they were cheating, I didn't want to say cheating, but I mean, this is what happens in people's relationships. If that person was cheating, that man was cheating on you this whole time with this person, then you guys break up and now they're in a relationship with the person they were cheating on you on. That's a little bit different because there was something that was going on there the entire time. All right. It still could be a situation where he's using it as a coping mechanism or the distraction, but it is also possible that something was built on their end over time. But outside of things like that, when it's this new person who just pops up out of nowhere and boom, your ex is now back in a relationship, it's usually to cope. And so what I see happen to so many individuals is that they see this person move on and say, oh, they must not have loved me. And not that I'm trying to make an argument for that they did love you, but the reality is that sometimes because how much they love you, because how much it hurt to lose you, they ran into the arms of someone else. Because to them, that was the best way. That was the only way they understood how to deal with this. Being by themselves hurt too much. All right. Now, again, I'm not saying this to you for you to now have sympathy and be like, oh, okay, now I love them too because they're just doing this because they love me. No, but I am saying that you cannot define their feelings for you or what you guys had by the fact that they've now jumped into this new relationship. Again, it doesn't tell you the full story. Now, unfortunately, and I feel the need to say this because sometimes maybe you watching this, maybe you're the ex that moved on too fast. Maybe you're the person in that rebound relationship, or maybe you're the person who's considering doing the same thing because you're trying to find a way to cope. I will never co-sign rebound relationships simply because it's an unhealthy dynamic, which now pulls in a third party, whoever this new person is, into an unresolved situation that now can get them hurt as well as hurting you, as well as hurting your ex. Because listen, here's the thing. When people break up, some people break up because they never needed to be together to begin with. All right. And thank God there was a breakup. You know, sometimes these situations are blessings in disguise. They may not feel like that, but they are. There are other situations where breakups occur because of misunderstandings, mistakes that were made, bad decisions. And the breakup doesn't automatically mean you two aren't meant to work it out. And with that said, when we rush to jump into the arms of someone else before truly resolving what happened here and coming to a true conclusion of we are done here, this isn't supposed to go forward anymore. Not simply because I am hurt in the moment, but because we now recognize we are not best for each other. Until that happens, adding someone else to the dynamic would be a bad move. Because what can happen to so many people is that they get in these rebound relationships, their ex, they somehow cross paths with their ex, things can happen, and now it becomes a really big love triangle. That's just one example, all right? But anyways, to get back to the original point, them jumping in that relationship doesn't tell you the whole story. And so you got to be careful with using that to come to your own conclusions, because let me also say this. What I've seen happen is somebody comes to mind recently that spoke to me. They were dating somebody, they break up, and they break up because there was, again, a misunderstanding. It wasn't really about we're not a good fit. It was bad mistakes made, caused some tensions, led to the breakup. Now, a month later, they cross paths, and the guy sees the woman with this other guy. And because he takes that to mean you never cared about me, you never loved me, you know, all the times that you told me you missed me after the breakup were all lies. What he does in that moment is act out. What he does is now, well, I'm going to hit her back because she just hurt me by being here with someone else. Now I'm going to do something to her to make her hurt. Little did he know that, again, that situation wasn't anything serious. And now you've added more negativity to the situation because you want to jump to conclusions about what this means. Be careful with that. Again, I'm not automatically saying you're supposed to work things out with your ex, but what I am saying is you need to make sure that everything has been resolved. Resolution means either we've come to a final conclusion that we are not right for each other, or we make sure we address whatever issues occurred and see, can we make this work again? All right, so now one more thing I want you to consider before I give you some things that you need to focus on for you to really, again, make sure you get to the better side of this or come out of this a lot better. And that third thing is anything can still happen. Now, again, I don't say that because I want to give anybody false hope of things working out with their ex. And I know that some of you may feel like, well, an ex should always remain an ex. I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. I don't agree with those things. I think we're human beings. Mistakes can be made. And again, sometimes two people never belong together, and sometimes two people things went left. And because of human error that we're all capable of, we drop the ball. We fall short. But that doesn't mean we aren't meant to come back together and make it even better than before. All right. So with that said, as I mentioned in the previous point, anything can happen, all right? And because anything can happen, the question you have to ask yourself is, am I gonna be able to handle whatever happens next, all right? And so let's throw out some examples. If what happens next is this never works out, because maybe there's a party that's hoping it works out, but let's say it never works out. Have you prepared and positioned yourself to be okay? All right, that's where your focus has to be. Let's say, for example, they do come back. Have I prepared and positioned myself to be able to face that possibility and embrace it when it happens? Because let me tell you what happens to a lot of people. They stay dwelling in the hurt of the breakup and whatever occurred. And even though there's a part of you that's hoping that maybe things can come back around and you guys can work things out, you stayed focused on the hurt. Now the person comes back and you're unable to properly embrace it because you never resolved the hurt. You never got past that hurdle. And so that's why it's so important that you understand you cannot remain in the moment of the breakup. You cannot remain in the aftermath. You cannot stay focused on, well, they're dating someone right now. And you cannot assume that them dating someone right now means, oh, that's my proof this is 100% over. No. The proof that it is over is based upon, are you two a right fit or not? I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Too many people try to evaluate these situations by what's going on the surface rather than addressing what's going on from within. And what I have seen, what I have experienced through coaching, through all the years I've lived this life, is that there's so many things going on within that you don't understand that can change what's happening on the surface in a blink of an eye. All right? Again, and it kind of reminds me of like why I tell women not to date men who are still married but separated. And I explained that one of the reasons why, outside of the fact that he's still technically married and how that might be morally wrong for many people, outside of that, I explained that if he is still technically married, things can change in the blink of an eye. He can go from, I hate my wife and there's no chance of us working out, to, we thought about it and we're going to give this another chance. Just like that. And until you are, and now I will say this, in that scenario, there is at least a surface action that has to occur first, which is the official divorce, right? But the point is that people, no matter what's happening in the moment right now, because of what's happening from within, things can change very quickly. So, not to keep sounding like a broken record, the point here is because anything can happen, you want to focus on being ready for whatever can happen. Not what you hope to happen, not what you're dreaming of happening, not what you assume will happen based off what you're seeing or what your friends or family are telling you. No, just understand that whichever way this goes, I'm in a healthier, better place. So let's talk about how to get to that healthier, better place. All right, so now the first thing we're gonna do is, when you're navigating through this situation, is view the breakup as an opportunity. All right? So again, too many people dwell in the pain of the breakup, not understanding that there is work to do. And it doesn't matter which side of the coin you're on. If you're on the side of, but I want my ex back, I miss them, I'm hurt by the fact that they left me. Or it's, I wish, I'm happy they're gone, or, I just want to be done from the pain of what happened to me in that relationship, whatever the case may be. This is an opportunity for you to grow and become stronger. And you do that by evaluating things and learning from it. You do that by embracing healing right now. You do that by being honest with yourself about what was going on in this relationship. Because again, sometimes why people struggle to move on is because they're stuck in this cycle of unanswered questions. All right? Why did this have to happen? I don't understand this. What are they really thinking? And not accepting the fact that, number one, some questions will never be completely answered, or you will never have 100% the answer. Some questions can have 10 different possible scenarios. And a lot of people will go playing through all 10 scenarios in their head, and they'll just drive themselves crazy, remaining stuck or struggling to move forward. And so it's important that you have a level of acceptance. Granted, we all would love a level of closure from someone and them giving us clarity. But we have to understand that we create some of the closure within ourselves, or we can create that closure by accepting maybe this is what was best. All right? Because even if they can come back around and we can work this out, there are things that I'm going to need to improve in order to make this work the second time. And if they're not for me, there might be things I need to improve so where I don't let them back in. I don't fall back into that trap. All right? As well as, again, because the original title of this was about them moving on too fast, as well as just understanding their business is their business now. I must focus on mine. And whatever is happening with them in this new relationship, so be it. Let them have it. You know what? This may sound crazy to some of y'all, but pray for them. Pray that they're doing well. Pray that this relationship is good for them. You know what? You don't get blessings by cursing others. All right? And though it may hurt, though it may feel like they don't deserve it due to what they did, you know what? If that new relationship is going to actually put them in a better place, so be it. Because all you want to make sure is that you are opening yourself up to receive your blessings. And their exit may have opened the door to that. All right, so now the next thing I want you to do to really get to a better place with this is to go deeper within yourself and ask, were they truly best for you? All right? Again, a lot of people struggle with these situations because they're focused on what happened. They're focused on not getting the desired result they hoped for. They focused on the disappointment of the situation. But they're overlooking the big question, were you even in the right relationship? And the reason why asking that is so important is because for those of you who were not in the right relationship, coming to that acceptance, that conclusion, that understanding is what will truly set you free. Once you can say, you know what, they weren't best for me anyway. That's not where I belonged. It becomes so much easier to not be concerned with what this person is doing and how they've, quote unquote, seemed to move on. It becomes so much easier to no longer grieve the loss. It becomes so much easier to understand that, you know what, them doing the things they did was not a symptom of you not deserving better, but you being with the wrong person. And when we can process that correctly, we can move forward a lot easier. All right? But let's address the fact that maybe you ask yourself that question and you feel like the answer is yes, that they actually were best for you. And that's why you struggle so much right now. Well, listen, even if you feel like this person was best for you and that was the relationship that you should have it, and let's just say maybe you're the one that made a mistake, and when we're the ones that make the mistake, that guilt, that shame causes us to be even more like disparaged about the situation. It causes us to struggle hard because like, damn, I let this slip out of my hands. And sometimes even when they're not best for us, if we made a mistake to lose it, we now start to trick ourselves into thinking we should be back with them because, we just don't like to feel like we messed up. We're the bad guy. And that guilt can cause a lot of problems. But either way, even if you believe they were best for you, the only way you're going to be able to make it work going forward is getting yourself right. So again, everything I just said to you earlier about focusing on you is still the recipe for success. And like I told you, anything can happen, but you will not be ready for it if you don't do what you need to do in the meantime. So if the answer is yes, that's fine. That will help you understand, all right, cool, I feel that way. You don't have to fight that you feel that way. You don't have to try to convince yourself that they were wrong for you because things went wrong. Just say, okay, I do believe they were best for me, but this situation played out the way that it did, and now I need to focus on how can I become better so that if this does come back around, we can take advantage of that opportunity. All right, so now the next thing I want you to do is to go through the healing process. Now, I mentioned it, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper right now. Here's the mistake. Let me not phrase it that way. Here's what I think people overlook, all right? When we go through these breakups, when we struggle with the pain of this person moved on too fast, so on and so forth, and we are, trying to find our way to navigating through this, we're so focused on the hurt of the current situation that we don't understand that the hurt from our past contributes to our current struggle. All right. So when people think about, well, okay, I'm going to focus on my healing, they think about, oh, I'm going to try to get over this relationship, this person, right? And then they'll say to me, oh, I already healed. I'm good now. Why isn't better things happening? Or why am I still having struggle with dating? But it's like, okay, yeah, you may have gotten over this person. And I put that in air quotes because many times people don't actually heal. They just move on the surface. Kind of like what your ex might be doing. All right. They move on the surface. They find new distractions. They come to an acceptance in their mind of I'm over it, I'm good, but you didn't really resolve what was going on there. And so it's still lingering from within. But in addition to that, a great part of your struggle is the past hurt that contributed to where you are right now. You can't overlook that. And past hurt doesn't just mean past romantic relationships. It means childhood, parents, friends, family, whatever, anything that has contributed to damaging you emotionally. You've got to address that. So when I say the healing process, please understand it is going to encompass everybody and everything. And that can be scary. That can be overwhelming, but it's going to be the best thing you could possibly do. Now, here's the thing. For those of you who were in a relationship that you never belonged in, healing from everything is going to clear your vision in a way that you cannot imagine. And you will be able to understand even better with more certainty that this situation ending and that person moving on was the best thing that could have happened to you. And hell, it was great because it led to triggering you into healing. So, I'm telling you, you will start to see how it all connects and makes sense and why it's to your benefit. But to help start you down the path of healing, if you're not aware of my process yet, I'm going to give you 2 quick steps. All right. Well, I'm going to give you 1 quick step. And the rest of the steps are in my book, Love After Heartbreak, which you can click the link in the description or in the comments section and get yourself the copy. But the step you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, you're going to write down who hurt me. And then you're going to ask yourself that question, who hurt me? And now everyone who comes to mind, put them on the paper. It doesn't matter how long ago it happened. Doesn't matter if you think you moved past it. If it comes to mind, there's some level of relevance there. All right. Put them on the paper and maybe a few sentences of what they did to hurt you or however long. Just give some details. Once you are complete, and it doesn't matter if this list is 50 people long. It might be 50 people. It might be for some of you 1 person long. However long it is, just get everything out. This is where we're going to now be able to identify what you've been holding on to. And for many of you, there may be people or situations you suppressed that when you ask yourself this question, it's going to come to the surface. Don't fight that. Accept it. Because again, to get to a better place, we must address all of it and heal from every last bit of it. And trust and believe it is possible. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't heal or you'll never be fully healed. You can. You absolutely can be fully healed. Now, granted, there will always be new things in life thrown at you that can hurt you. So the process of becoming damaged can reoccur in people's lives. But here's the reality. Once you've learned to heal from the past issues, you become strengthened in the way that you can handle new hurts and disappointments so much better. You become equipped to bounce back from these things so much faster. So it's not going to hurt you or have the negative impact on you the same way it would have if you never healed to begin with. So don't overlook and dismiss it. Do the who hurt me list, get love after heartbreak, and go through the entire healing process. And now, last but definitely not least, what you need to do when you're navigating through a situation like this is really talking to God and putting your trust in God. Now, again, if we're going to be real with each other, I know this is another one of those easier said than done. And to some people, when we say trust God and things like that, it just sounds cliche, like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, right? But I'm being real when I say this to you. I believe in it. I believe in it because I've seen how it's helped so many others. I know how much it's helped me in life. And I know it can be a struggle because if you're not already in tune with your spirit, if you're not already in the practice of talking to God, then this is very foreign to you. And so you don't understand how you can properly apply this, right? But don't overthink it. Just talk to God in prayer, just as you would to a friend. There's no specific method you need to have right now. Don't stress about that. Don't stress about any rules and regulations. Just start to establish, if it's not already there, a relationship with God. And if you have some relationship, just start to strengthen it and start to go to God and start to listen within. Ask questions. What do I need to do here? What is my next step? All right. And not just asking for guidance and following that guidance, but also just trusting that, listen, you know, the hurt that we go through in life sometimes is not as bad as we think. When I say that, please understand what I mean is sometimes what we perceive as bad is a setup for something amazing. All right. But the way that we process things as human beings, we take it as negative, we internalize it as negative, and now we start to project negativity into our lives. But if we start to understand that maybe this is a lesson to be learned, maybe this is a redirection that is occurring. You know, they say rejection is just God's redirection. I believe that's the correct way they phrase it. And when we start to look at things in that way and we don't internalize the disappointment, now we equip ourselves with being able to walk in a better direction and receive what's truly for us. And you've got to understand that God does want the best for you. But yes, listen, He lets us have free will. And so we have to recognize when we made some poor decisions, and that's not to judge because we all made poor. I don't know anybody who ain't never make a poor decision. That is just a part of being a human being. But let's not blame God for things that He wasn't responsible for. You know what I'm saying? I think I had a quote that said, I'll be forgetting my own quotes. The quote pretty much said, don't confuse what you decided to go through with what God wanted you to deal with. Let me say that one more time. Do not confuse what you decided to go through with what God wanted you to deal with. All right. And so to give you an example, let's use that past relationship. Sometimes people will say, well, why did God let this person come in my life? Why did they bring this to me? Okay, but did God tell you to go be with them? Did God tell you to get romantically involved with them? Just because they presented themselves and their desire to you, you made a decision. Again, I don't want you to beat yourself up, but I want you to separate what is your will and what is God's. And we can only put it on God, or we should only even attempt to put it on God, if you can say, you know what, I prayed, I asked God, and in my spirit, I felt God said, do this. All right, I'm not going to argue with you. Whether it's right or wrong, to me, at least you're making a fair case. But when you came to your own conclusions, then you got to understand, all right, that was on you. And the reason why one of the reasons why it's so important to see it that way is because now in moving forward, when we can recognize, okay, I did things my way that time. Let me do things God's way this time. I can now see there's an alternate path that can produce better results. I actually was just at an event last night. And after the event, it was a speaking engagement and I was in the crowd. I was an attendee, but people recognized me. So people were asking me questions or whatever. And a woman said to me, you know, we were talking about relationships. She said she hadn't been in one in 10 years. You know, after she got hurt, she stopped dating. And she said, you know, we talked about trusting God, things of that nature. And she said, you know, it's kind of like I climbed up a 300-foot ladder and I fell down and broke my leg. And now you're telling me I got to go climb up a 500-foot ladder. And I said, well, that 300-foot ladder was your ladder. That 500-foot ladder is God's ladder. That one you won't fall off of. You can trust that he will take you to a better place. So when we understand the difference between what we wanted to do and what God wants us to do, that can set us up for great things. And putting your trust in him will produce amazing results. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Whether you are single or in a relationship or marriage, you need to watch this video, because the reality is that you are very likely at some point in life going to find